This video will show my process to replace the shorting out DC jack on this Neewer NL660 light. As you can see, it has a faulty connection from the power supply dangling by the plug and causing damage, since it is far too short for this unit. This is a close-up of the inside of the broken jack, showing exactly what broke, which was this small pin. It has become loose and is not making a good connection anymore. At the end of the video, I'll show you my remedy for this. Here is a look at the items that I'm going to be using. A precision screwdriver kit, the new jacks which came in a bag of 10, and I recommend getting at least 2, my soldering iron, an adjustable wrench which works just good enough to unbolt the jacks from the control box, and of course some pliers which will also come in handy to help get the knobs off, which I'll be doing first. For reference, this is a close-up of the replacement jack which has 3 terminals, and before I begin I need to make a small adjustment to this center pin, which I feel is slightly too narrow to fit snugly enough into the plug. So using a small precision flathead screwdriver, I'll insert it into this slot and wedge the 2 sides apart. Now I can feel that there is a more snug fit and the connection will be more solid. I printed out this handy template which is available from my website at lensmith.com, and I put some double-sided tape in the circles to keep track of the parts. To begin, I must remove these knobs by gently gripping and prying straight out. I'm using my favorite tool, the Nipx 7-inch pliers, which are unreasonably expensive but very nice to have around the shop. Check out the links on my website to see what I mean. However, use whatever pliers you have to very gently pull these knobs off. If you want, you can wrap double-sided tape around the knob and just use your fingers to pull it off. Never wiggle it though, it will damage the knob. Just pull it straight out. Next, I'm going to use an adjustable wrench to remove the 7/16 nut, since most sockets won't fit. Now it barely fits, so I'm going to press firmly to turn it slightly just to loosen it so I can use my fingers to remove the nut. This precision screwdriver kit you have probably seen in my other videos. It's inexpensive and has all the sizes that I've ever needed to take apart small electronics. The Phillips sizes specifically are excellent for those tiny torqued-on screws you might find. For this project, I'll be using the 2.5mm hex bit to remove the 4 bolts securing the control box to the base. They are a lot longer than you'd think, so keep unscrewing until you feel the click of them unseating. They're not magnetic, so I won't bother trying to pull them out with a magnetic screwdriver. I'll just swing the control box this direction so no wires get pulled, and just let the screws fall out and collect them afterwards. Now using a regular Phillips head, I'll remove these 4 screws, which are magnetic, and set them aside as well. Now it's time to remove the control board from the box. It is loose, and holding it like this, I'll press against the knobs on the other side to detach it like this. I'll turn it around so the camera can see better. The jack is right here, connected with its 3 terminals. There are more advanced tools and techniques for removing components from a board, but this method I'm using today is cheap and easy, but requires more patience. Although my soldering iron is rated for lead-free solder, I have it cranked to the max and I'm unable to melt this stuff. So my trick is to add a drop of solder, which I know I can melt, to each terminal, and it begins to heat up very quickly this way. Using my pliers, I'll grip the jack on the other side of the board and press down just a little bit so that as I melt the solder on the back of the board, slowly but surely the jack will start coming free. This takes a little while and requires patience, but if I'm careful and take my time, it will slowly and surely come out. I'll melt one terminal, then the next, and so on until I can eventually wiggle it out. I'm resisting the urge to press down too hard because I'm also pressing the knobs against the table and I don't want to damage anything. If I was in a rush, I could have used cutters to just cut the old jack out as flush as I could and moved on. However, now that it's finally free, I'll remove the nut and the washer from the new jack set them aside, and hold the jack against the board to see if it needs to be adjusted before mounting. Mine does, so using pliers, I'll bend the pin slightly so that it will align with the holes. Do not try to bend the whole pin, it will break. Just bend the tip. The same process I used for removing the jack is how I'm going to replace the jack. It's tedious, but it's easy and works well. First, I'll add another drop of solder to each terminal to make it easier. With a piece of cardboard to elevate the board, I'll align the pins of the new jack with the solder marks on the board. Now it's a matter of just melting each terminal point one at a time as the board slowly sinks, working the jack into place, adding more solder as needed. Now it's time to reassemble. Carefully rotating the cover, I'll set the board back into place, taking care to align the 2 knobs and this green LED, which can easily become misaligned. I'll check to make sure there's no gap here and replace the 4 screws with the Phillips head screwdriver. I'll press the wires in so they are clear from the edge, flip the control box over using these small pins to align it with the base. Then with the 2.5mm hex driver, I'll tighten these 4 bolts down snug. When replacing these knobs, it's hard to remember exactly where they were, so I'll turn them all the way down and then set the yellow knob at about here, pointing to the end of the word dimmer, and the white one the same way, and simply press them in with some gentle pressure until they're seated. Last thing is to put the washer and the nut back on the new jack, tightening as much as I can with my finger, and then using the pliers or adjustable wrench to tighten a bit more. Now I'll grab my power supply to test it out. Good news, the green light is on and the lights are working great. Before this happens again to my other lights, I'll pull out my trusty roll of super sticky Velcro, stick the two sides together, cut to size with scissors, peel off the soft side and press the whole thing onto the light stand just below the lowest knob. Then I'll peel off the other backing and affix the power supply to the light stand so it's not dangling by the plug anymore. It's secure and easily removable, but I can also just unplug the outlet side and leave the power supply attached to the stand when I'm transporting it. The outlet side is replaceable with 10-foot cords or longer, so I'll just get a couple of those and link to them on my website. Please subscribe to my channel, and thanks for watching.